Okay. Well, thanks very much for the opportunity to present to you what it is, in fact, is the title of this segment is Emerging Technologies. What I want to talk to you about is the use of a technology that's been around for a little while now, but it's being used for a different purpose. One of the emerging technologies that was mentioned earlier that DPI is very much involved in was Nick mentioned in his MLA talk about the 3D imaging for predicting carcass composition. But I'm not going to talk about that. What I'm going to talk about is using ultrasound imaging to monitor heifer puberty. Why would we do that? Because we feel that this is an opportunity that we want to be able to give a new tool to the industry to improve herd fertility. Okay, so in any breeding enterprise, fertility is a major driver of profitability. That's just about a no-brainer. You've got to have a calf a year, and we don't want any passengers. The earliest contribution that heifers can make to the overall herd productivity is determined by their reaching puberty. Now, if you look at what tools we've got for improving through EBVs, if you look at the fertility traits, unfortunately there are a few of them and they have low to only medium heritabilities. However, recent work with beef CRC with Bos indicus types have shown that the heritability for age or weight at puberty is quite high, much higher than, say, your growth heritabilities. Now, the problem is that to practically measure puberty is quite difficult or expensive in terms of the labour involved to get it. Now, you can estimate it as a percentage of mature weight, which is traditionally the way it's sort of considered. However, we've got a better way of doing it now. We can actually monitor the development of the ovary up to when the heifer has her first ovulation by the use of ultrasound imaging. So that's what I'm going to talk about a bit later. Now, let me go back, missed one. To get to the stage of calculating genetic parameters, you need mountains of data. So we've got to try and accumulate a fair bit of data that's representative of herds in the commercial industry. Now, I mentioned before that the stimulus has come from work from up north in Bos indicus types. We've got very scant information on Bos taurus types, and that's what we're going to go about getting. The ultimate aim, of course, is to generate an EBV that can add to the suite of EBVs that are currently available to beef producers. So I'll tell you just a little bit about the pilot project that we started last year, and if we've got time we might have a quick look at some results. Okay, well now talking about EBVs, there's a list, there's more or less the suite of things that are available currently, and if you look at the set, there's only a couple there that relate to fertility, and in fact days to calving is the main one that's going to affect it directly, and unfortunately it has a very low heritability, so it's going to be very slow genetic gain selecting with a trait like that. These to do with calving and birth weight, they certainly do contribute, but it's mainly in terms of survival. So we started a pilot project last year, collecting data on the presence or absence of the evidence of a heifer having cycled, and we relate that to the age and weight, fatness, and the frame score of the animal as an indication of a maturity type. As I said before, you need heaps of data to crunch for the geneticists. Now, fortunately, we've got the use of ultrasound imaging as a tool that's becoming very much used in a lot of species these days. Anyone that's got sheep, be pretty familiar with preg scanning for pregnancy and litter size. We're using it in cattle now. It's used a fair bit now, even just for regular pregnancy diagnosis as opposed to manual. But with technologies, as usual, some people go a bit over the top. We don't really recommend that, and that's not me either. Now, just a little bit of physiology lesson here. I'll just show you what's going on inside these girls that we want to have a look at. Throughout the oestrus cycle, we've got a constant recruitment and growth of follicles that eventually end up either ovulating or regressing. Okay. Okie doke. So if you look at the top lot, here we start here with the ovum. What it does then, fortunately, it leaves behind evidence that that's happened, and this is what we call, this is the corpus luteum, and this is a structure that we image on with the scanner. And there's a mature corpus luteum. Here we're going through the process. This follicle is going up to go for the next ovulation. What do you actually see? Here's some images from the scanner, from the screen. They're showing just the area of empty tract. That's the bladder. Any fluid-filled structure will show up as black like that, which are like the little follicles we've got in here. That's the area of the ovary that we're interested in. Some bigger follicles. These are getting up to the stage where they're potentially going to ovulate. And this is the custom we're after, this corpus luteum. That's the evidence that animal has actually ovulated. And they appear as different types. We're going to like a solid one here. And this is the one we call a donut. Quite jumps at you when you see them. Okay, I'll just quickly, how are we going? Yeah, some preliminary results only. Last year we had animals at our DPI research station at Trangie and a commercial stud. And the thing to notice that we had, this is data on the proportion of animals ovulating at various times in relation to their age or weight at that time of scanning. And you can see that the top two lines, they are animals essentially of the same genotype in different years versus this set down here that are of a different genotype. And you see there's huge difference in at any given weight or age in the proportion of animals ovulating. And we believe that that's due to a difference in the maturity type of those two genotypes. It's also, with a bit of preliminary analysis, it's possibly got a favourable correlation with days to calving, which is really good news because that will add strength to the only trait that's really going to do much at the moment in the days to calving trait. And if we can add an extra one to it, that'll be that's where we're heading. Okay, so that's it.